all you have to do is just accept. All you have to do is just accept. Oh, here you are.
Yay! Sorry, technical difficulties.
No, it's all fine.
I had to have my daughter help me.
Yeah. That's okay. So I know that this is, when you go for the first time, you're like, what's happening? What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you turn your phone vertically so this way you can? Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
Yeah, Instagram is a little weird, so it's not like
Okay.
regular Facebook how we like to do it. But awesome. So first of all, I wanted to say big thank you for you to join me today. Morning.
Sure.
So I know it's early for you guys, but still, I just wanted to talk to you and chat with you about limiting beliefs and why this is so important for people to work with them, especially now. I feel like now it's like the time to kind of embrace the moment, really focus inward, and what is the best time to do it, just to face your limiting beliefs and work with them.
Right.
All right, so let me introduce you, and then you can introduce yourself, so give more information about yourself.
Okay.
I met Stacy while we were in Germany. That was our face-to-face first time ever, but I heard about you before. You are one of the partners with MasterKit Incorporated. Yep. And you are as well a lovely user of MasterKit, and that's how we met. And then I found out that you are actually energy healer, and you do a lot of inward practices and kind of things and meditations. So if you can tell more about this to my subscribers and to people who don't know what you do, because it was super interesting for me, and I was very excited to see a person who was in the same world with me.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of the hard part about it, because sometimes you feel like you're kind of out there in the middle of the ocean by yourself, and you don't have anybody that that you can talk to. I often find I start talking, and then people's eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know what you're saying, but okay, I'm going to sit here and nod at you. I'm a licensed massage therapist, and I do energy medicine. The thing that I do the most is energy medicine, massage, and distance healings as well. So from, I don't know, I guess probably about high school, I started noticing that I was picking up on people's emotions and all that kind of stuff. And I had to figure out what to do with it. And the best way I knew to do anything with it is to kind of channel it back to the person. Give it back to them, because it wasn't mine, and I'm still struggling with that, giving them back their stuff and not keeping it.
Yeah, right.
And when I was also in high school, I wasn't the best student, which is interesting for people who know me now, because I can spout off all these facts and stuff, but I wasn't the best school system student. I had trouble learning how to read. I had trouble with math. And by the time I got into high school, I was like, okay, this is my brain that I've got to figure out how to run and how to work. And so I started doing biofeedback, because I had studied brain waves, and I had found out that the theta wave was, really a very low one. And I had done some self-hypnosis, made my own self-hypnosis tapes.
Wow. That is so incredible.
I'm trying to figure all of this out, and I'm, in my teens and in my early 20s. And as I'm doing all of this, I know that the subconscious is the answer to it all. I just can't figure out how to get into the subconscious. And then as I was going through there, I ran into things like Bruce Lipton and the biology of belief. And and then that concrete knowledge of, okay, it's my subconscious mind that's running the show, and that I took all of this programming from the time that I was 0 to 7 years old, from people around me, and that was dictating my life now. And it wasn't necessarily even belief systems that I agreed with, but they were still running my life.
Yeah.
So I I started studying the subconscious, and I'm like, okay, well, the subconscious can process 40, I think it's million bits of information per second.
Wow.
And then the conscious mind can do 40.
Mm-hmm.
So my conscious mind is going up against this huge subconscious supercomputer. And the subconscious's job is to keep homeostasis, to keep you at that even keel the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute you're out of that, it starts searching the environment, looking for what has caused this disruption.
Okay.
Okay. And once it determines what it is, it will take like a snapshot picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it will take a snapshot of the emotions that you're feeling at the time. And then it creates this rule. Oh, if I feel this way, then that. And it comes up with this conclusion that
bizarre.
You have no idea what it's concluded. And so then from that moment forward, whenever you're feeling that emotion and you are in that, mindset, I guess.
Yes.
This rule kicks in and it says, oh, you must do this. So have you ever been in a situation where you're feeling a certain way and your mouth takes off without you?
Yes.
That's something that you would never say.
Yeah.
Because that if this, then that rule of the subconscious mind kicked in. And so it just took over. It's
so, that is so cool. And so you knew this while you were like in high school, right? Like you understood that rule. So
right.
and the problem was you didn't know how to deal with this. Like you understood it, but
right.
you're like, oh, what the hell am I doing? Like how can I take control over that super machine that's running my show?
Right.
So what are the things you were looking like? And that's why we start our talk is called like how to work with your limiting beliefs, because why are they even limiting? Like some people who don't even know what it is, they're like, okay, so whatever. I just live my life and I just, say things without thinking or do things without thinking. And then all of a sudden they found themselves in a kind of not the best situation in their life. And then they just don't know how the hell this happened.
Right.
So you like tell me, like why do we call them limiting beliefs and what do they freaking limit?
So we call it a limiting belief because your subconscious governs and it rules, and its job is to keep you safe. And it says, no, the rules say you can't do this. Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be this funny rule somewhere, like, in the Master Kit system, I believe Daria gives an example that a woman can't accept money or gifts from men because it means that she's a loose woman.
Yes.
and so she can't even get her ex-husband to pay her child support because that's accepting money from a man. And so where did that rule come from? Where did that conclusion come from? She had no control over it, right?
Yeah.
But still it's running her life. So it's limiting because you don't know where you picked it up and you don't know how it's running things. And so the thing that I really, really love about Master Kit is not only does it help you discover what it is, but it also walks you through the process of fixing it.
Awesome.
And when it wasn't until this system that I really, and it lets you do it by yourself, mm-hmm. which is a big thing because, all of these years that I spent, working.
I remember you were telling, you were searching. Searching.
Yeah, it was like 20 years. I'll just tell you, I turned 50 this year. And I started searching in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s. And I had, I tried self-hypnosis. I had tried Psyche. I have, just before I found this, I had tried Cogno Movement. So I had tried all of these different things, and although they worked for a little bit, they mm-hmm. did not last. Mm-hmm. And so as you're working through this, you're kind of, again, focusing on that mental picture in your mm-hmm. mind that, so you're searching for that image. So you're thinking, okay, here's my ideal. And you pull up that image, and that's the image that your conscious mind has. And then superimposed behind it, almost like a little shadow, is the image of what created that belief system shining through that picture. And you're going to look at the perfect conscious mind picture, and you're going to try to find what that image is that your conscious took, your subconscious took when you were in that situation. And so you're searching for where something's not quite right.
Yeah.
And as soon as you find where it's not quite right, you know what the conflict is between the conscious mind and your wish and the programming and the situation. Subconscious decided it was going to protect you from ever having again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you go through it all day, every day, and you don't really realize it, because anytime your body is not in perfect homeostasis, your subconscious is constantly looking for what's the source.
Okay.
So the challenge is, how do I change? Because the minute you start to change, the subconscious gets triggered. It says, wait a minute, something not right going on here. And it's the environment for what has pulled you out of homeostasis, what's pulled you out of autopilot.
Yeah.
And then it starts whispering in your ear, oh,
don't do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, and I love Joe Dispenza. He said the greatest day in his life was when he realized he didn't have to believe everything he thought.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Yes.
So here's your subconscious saying it's going to hurt, it's not going to work, and you don't have to believe it. So that's where the conflict is. We're going to the supercomputer, and we're trying to take the 10% mind and turn it into a new rule for the 90% brain to help run your life.
Yes. So can you share, because I do have a lot of followers who do speak English, and they were curious, but they're not like quite yet ready to use MasterKit because they think that they won't be able to do it. As a native speaker, you don't speak Russian. Right. So as a person who is completely English speaker, when you first, found this system that you have been looking for 20 years, and when you opened that up, what were the discoveries that really excited you? Like when you were like, okay, this is it. What made you believe that this is it?
Well, the first thing was the program reminded me again that I was actually in charge. That, and I had kind of given up. I was like, okay, well, I mean, I know what is causing the problem. I just don't know how to fix it. It's like broken down on the side of the road. So when Axiom 1.1 in the program, everything in your reality is a result of your belief system. I was like, okay, so there it is. There's my beliefs running everything again. And then it just, I don't know how to explain it. It just gave me the control back. It gave me permission to quit letting life run by itself, and when I was younger, I was all about taking action and setting goals and doing this and doing that. And then I found that I couldn't do it. And so eventually I kind of gave up. And you start with money in the program because it's the easiest to transform. And I would absolutely 100% agree. Easiest to transform. And I have a wildlife damage mitigation company that I've been running for 20 years. And it was the off season, what we call off season, because, we're up in the mountains in Colorado. And so the wildlife is not, they're not mating, they're not tearing into things, they're not causing problems. So it's off season. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to play with money. I'm going to see if I can bring in some contracts and get something going. And within, I'm going to say easily 30, but I'm going to, be a little conservative and say 45 days. I had $40,000 worth of contracts. So, and it was just because I was changing the belief that because it was the off season, we didn't have any work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was changing that. And
Yeah.
as I go through that process, I hold the picture in my mind. I look for what's in conflict, and then I focus on the tension that you get. You get upset to find what that conflict is, and I'm working through it and working through it. And the original version of the English Master Kit was, I think, the levels 1 through 3 we have now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it wasn't long, and I was going to Daniela, the lady I bought it from. I'm like, okay, now what? And she's like, what do you mean, now what? I'm like, now what? Help me. She goes, oh, we'll just try it again and work on something else. And so I started working through all of the different areas. I started working on my relationship with my daughter and my son and my dad. And so I've been systematically working my way through it. And it's interesting, as you work your way through it, you see the areas in your life that they're like safe problems.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
focus on them all the time.
Yeah.
You're not motivated. There's like, oh, you're not motivated, or there's resistance.
You just don't want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you would rather have somebody pull your front teeth than deal with this. And so I'm at the point now where I've had it like a year and a half, I think, and I'm finally getting down to the nitty gritty stuff. And it's like, oh, I don't want to do my Master Kit today.
Yeah, that was for me when I actually spaced my relationships with my brother. So I haven't spoken with him for 2 years, like none. So, you know, and I was like, I don't want to open that closet. I was like, I literally, for me, it was like so scary and horrible. And I was like, I really don't want to do this. Those are my like bad skeletons, and I don't know what's going to fly out of this. And I just don't want to deal with this. But then one day I just pulled the trigger, and it was like so easily and so instantly, like it happened, that now we are like good friends. I have my brother back in my life. Like we talk, and he has a family, he has a wife and everything. And I'm just super grateful that I got my my family back because of this. So, but I know there's a different areas that for different people they trigger different things. And that's why I believe that Master Kit is so awesome, because you can work independently. I like your metaphor to say, like, I take the controller back. So you don't really need like a coach or a guru or somebody who can navigate you through this. So you actually, all you have to do is just to be like really honest with yourself and just like keep going and actually let yourself go through that to receive like the biggest results in your life.
Well, and it's interesting because as you're going through it, you come across stuff that's so personal. You don't even want to acknowledge it to yourself.
Yeah, I know.
If the only other person who's helping, if you have to like say that out loud to, like, let's say your counselor or your therapist or whatever, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
You barely are okay with like taking little glances at it because it's so personal, so deep down, and you are so triggered. If I had to say that to somebody else and try to explain to them, I don't think I could do it. I would never be able to work through it. And I think everybody's been, they said it's like having a therapist in your pocket.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to hear what you have to say in this program. They're not going to see it. It's like a double blind security system. So it's like, even when you're journaling, that in the back of your mind thinking, what if somebody finds this? I don't want them to know, what I'm really thinking. And so you're not actually being really truthful and honest with yourself, because there's a possibility somebody.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that's this one. Even with like the Psyche system, you have to have the person who is helping you change your limiting belief. They have to muscle test you, and they have to, so it takes two people to make it happen.
Yeah.
And although it may be nice because you've got somebody else there with you, it's also limiting in that you really don't want to tell anybody.
That's true. I agree with you. It's it's awesome. On the other hand, I feel like to have a community of people who are the same, like not so like you are, it's so important to have them. And when you speak the same language, you don't even have to explain those things. Like when I explained my relationships with my brother, I feel like people who are familiar with inward work, with personal development, with MasterKit, and with all the other things. So they did feel I didn't even need to explain a lot of things. Like everyone got it. So that's why when you work face to face with yourself, and then you have a little community, you can share little glimpses and pieces. They get you. This is
Right.
like, I feel like that's the biggest community that I have been in, that was like super supportive, no matter how effed up you are. So they still accept you, and you still like one of us. And I feel like that's one of the like the pluses that I get when I was when I joined the MasterKit family, in a way.
Right.
So yeah, Stacy, can you also like tell me what is your biggest result? Like I know that the money concept was like the first one that really made you to believe in the system when it was off season, and then you made all these contracts despite that, only because you were working with your conscious mind, with your subconscious mind, with your limiting belief. Like
Right.
you transformed them, so you started thinking differently, and because you were thinking differently, the life were presenting it differently to you.
Mm-hmm.
What is the other results that you wanted to share with some of the people who are watching us now? And thank you guys so much for joining us. So it's very nice.
Well, I had never traveled outside of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
In my 40s, didn't even have a passport, had no intention of ever going anywhere. I'm safe. I'm right here. I'm in this same little valley that I grew up in, very, I guess, small town. And so I was happy here. I was safe here. And all of a sudden they're like, well, you're going to Germany. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, you're going to Bali. No, I'm not, and so I had to work through, as an American, you hear all these stories of, Americans being held hostage, and, people not liking Americans because we're the pigs of the world. We hog all of the food and all the energy, and we're just the bullies because, we're a superpower or whatever. And so you hear all these stories, and then you hear these stories about people getting sick, and
Mm-hmm.
and my daughter had the traveling bug, so I made sure she traveled. But she was like, "Oh, Mom, we got to go." No, not. And started working through it, and then all of a sudden one day it was like I worked through something one night, and then the next day I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go apply for my passport. And it was so funny to watch the look on my daughter's face. She like stopped dead in the middle of the living room and turned. She looked at me. She goes, "What?" And I said, "Do you want to go with me? I'm going to go apply for my passport." She goes, "You? A passport?"
That is so cool.
She went with me. I laughed because the picture that they took of me, I looked like, Orange Cheeto Trump.
Oh, stop.
I do. My girl's kind of dusted in a little Cheeto dust. But I went to Germany, and the other big thing that I did is while I was there, I got up on stage and talked about being, the first American to use, American born, I should say,
Yes.
and to use the program. And I had never intended on selling it. I was like, I've got my energy medicine business. I've got my wildlife business. What, I need 3 jobs. And I talked about that. It was like, it just kind of, once people get it, when they're ready for it, when they're awake and ready for it, once they get it, it's not that hard of a sell, because they realize that you are giving them the tools to be able to manage and run their own life. And the other big thing for me was accepting qualities.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, my mom is, I think, like second generation American. Her family came from Russia, and so it was everything in household was a secret. You know, you put on that face. Oh, my house is never dirty. My children are perfect. Everything's
Yeah.
perfect. Everything's fine. And you put on this like show, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course I'm up in the Eagle County where Vail, Colorado,
Yeah.
The vacation of the rich and famous, you know.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
we call it Plasticville because it's like nobody ever has any problems. And so when you're in
Pretend world.
it's like it's almost like a little Hollywood thing where nobody has any problems. That I mean, I'm from a family of 9 kids, so we knew there were all sorts of problems everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was an anomaly, and so I started kind of turning off all of those things that I wasn't supposed to show in public. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're not supposed to have emotions. You're supposed to be, you know, royal and present yourself perfectly all the time. And as I was growing up, I started turning all those off, and to be able to turn all that back on was it actually helped me in being able to be a better massage therapist and a better energy healer, because once I was accepting those things, I could let them flow through my body, and it made it easier for me to be able to accept conflict with my son,
Mm-hmm.
because you know, I was this whole entire time I was blaming his dad. Oh, you know, you got that from your dad. Well, it turns out he got it from me. And so, you know, my daughter used to go, he's just like you. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, but so when you start accepting these qualities, they stop bothering you in other people. And that to me was the greatest gift of this program, was people could be whoever they needed to be at that time, and I didn't have to be judgmental of it. I didn't have to be triggered by it. I could observe it and I could offer help. And if they didn't want it, then I could just let them go about doing their thing, because that was their life and that's what
Yeah.
they were doing. And um, you get to a point where you don't, and it sounds horrible, but it's so peaceful and tranquil to be in a spot where you can see that people are doing their things in their life, and you don't have to get upset about it. You don't
Yeah.
have to get involved in it. You can watch it, you can offer, and then let it go.
I agree.
That creates so much peace in my life.
Absolutely. Like, as for me, you know, I, as a parent and as a wife, there were different things, and the cultural differences, of course, present in my family. So of course I'm born and raised in Russia. So a lot of things which you were telling me, they still exist. I still brought them in with me.
Right.
So, but as like I understood that if I don't work on myself, on them right now, I can pass them on to my children. And they are not, I'm not saying they're bad or good, but they're not, like, when they are in charge of when to show them and when not to show them, without me telling them or constantly telling them to put on the mask and to be the perfect, to do this and that, whatever. So it gives me strength to be a better mom, to be so much more understanding, and it's a true blessing. So I feel like for every mom who is struggling there, especially with teenagers, I feel like, you know, we do have a stigma of thinking that the teenagers are the worst people. Like, you can hear and understand.
Teen rebel.
So, yeah, but it all starts when they're like super young, because we teach them something, and then it goes into their super brain, into their, you know, subconscious, and then all of a sudden we want them to think otherwise because now they are old and they should know better. Right. I mean, and then they're all confused, and I understand why they're confused. Like, now And if I didn't know this, if I didn't have the master kit, if I didn't transform them, if I didn't look through them inside myself, then of course I will be clueless and I'll be like pushing the boundaries, and of course there would be like conflicts rising.
Mm-hmm.
So oh my God, Stacy, I'm like super happy you joined me. So I don't want to hold you up so much. I see that people are watching us right now. If you guys have any questions, please, you can comment in here. But I want to go more like this because I feel like we connected on a such an awesome level with you. And not because of the master kit, but also because we are living in the same kind of country and things. And we do experience very similar things in life. And I feel like a lot of people are, no matter what country they're in, they just experience things, the same things, but they accept them differently. So I feel like that's our first and very introductive kind of video about why we need to work on limiting beliefs, what Stacy was using, how did she come to Master Kit, nothing scared her, and what kind of amazing results she got. I mean, that's pretty incredible. And you know, if you ever have any doubts about it, it's actually all in your control. That's what I'm gonna use this. Like when you were saying this, my husband likes to play Xbox, and so does my stepson. So, and they're like in charge, you know, whatever they want to do. And I'm like, when you were telling me all this, I imagined this in my head. I'm like, I'm not taking control of my life. I want to do it whichever way I want. Like,
Exactly.
so cool.
You have your own remote control now.
Yes, and I love that. So we do have a comment. Yes, if you guys want to connect with all the English speakers, we do have a couple chats that we have people who speak English and who do use MasterKit. So I know that you have a couple people using, like not couple, more than a couple people using it. You know, what are they saying about it? Like what's their feedback? Because I know you're like such a truthful user. What are the other people are saying?
I've at first, when they first started using it, you know, they were very excited. Oh, I'm going to tackle this. Oh, I'm going to tackle that. And I'll be honest with you, I lost a lot of people when you get to the level of resistance, when you have to start digging deeper. And so that to me tells me that, you know, that they're not quite completely ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing that most people tell me is that they like being able to pick what they're going to work on. And so it's not, you know, it's not like the therapist is in charge and, oh, we're going to talk about this today. And, you know, you don't have to go back into the past, and you don't have to dig around in the graveyard of your childhood to be able to resolve these things. And that was the biggest feedback that most of my users have, is that you can start here and now and move forward.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go backwards. You don't have to, you know, face all of that old stuff. All you got to do is look for that old superimposed picture.
Yeah.
That's as far back as you have to go.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I love it. I always suggest to my my customers, also people who use MasterKit, to look around and say, okay, what am I not happy right now? Like what's bothering me, like right here. You don't have to go and dig for dirt and go into the closet like we were talking about before. Like, don't do that until you're ready and you really want to face that. But just look around and say, okay, what's bothering me now? What I'm not happy about right now, and what can I do about it? So, and you can just start from there. You are so right, and I love it. This is like the best example, the best wisdom from Stacy. All right, so I think we're gonna finish, so I don't want to hold you back too much. And thank you so much for joining me, because it was very thoughtful, and I know you were dropping some, you know, methods you were using before, but now, like, I know we can connect on this such an amazing level.
Yes.
I know you have huge fan club right now. Like I see all these hearts and all these comments. Yeah, because you are really a rock star. So that's awesome. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
Take care, you guys. If you have any questions, you can, reach out to Stacy. If you want to have a bilingual person, if you're not quite familiar how to speak just English, you can come to me.
Right.
But if you really prefer just do English, Stacy will help you out and she will lead you through the process and just give you a little bit tips and pieces what she was experiencing. Okay, so our profiles are open. Feel free to ask any questions. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.